Welcome to After the Call, the podcast dedicated to the stories and struggles behind the badge, the turnout gear, and the uniform. Each week, we'll bring you a powerful conversations with first responders, mental health professionals, and advocates who are breaking the stigma, sharing their journeys, and offering real solutions. We'll talk about PTSD resilience, family impact, and the resources that can make a difference. Because the job doesn't just leave scars on the body, it affects the mind, the heart, and the people who serve alongside us. And no one should have to carry that burden alone. This is After the Call, where you'll find strength through resilience.
All right, welcome to another episode of After the Call. I'm your host, Patrick, followed by
Veronica
and Josh.
And we have Jena back,
Yeah.
which we're excited to because, one, ever since we've started working with you, we've had a lot of cool projects.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of good stuff. So kind of want to just dive in to see what your thoughts are, how things have been running with that.
Yeah.
I know that we started back in, I want to say it was October, November.
Yeah, I think that's
That's when
October.
we-
Yeah.
Yeah, so last year. So we started that stuff. We did the photographs with the horses and
That
Santa
was
Claus, which was
awesome.
cool. But then our big push was for the reconnection
Yeah.
of the first responder and a child.
Yep.
So kind of, I wanted to see what your thoughts were, feedback,
Yeah.
what we could do to maybe improve it, change it, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think it's been going great. I think it took us a little bit, I think it took us a little bit of time to kind of finagle and see how we wanted to go about it. But my biggest hurdle was trying to make it authentic and not making it like we're in like a doctor's office or you're being, I always like to say, therapized. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to feel like that. I want it to feel genuine and authentic, like you're coming out and you're just trying to have a day out on the farm. So that has been the fine-tuning part that we've been working on together, me and my therapist, Sally and Dan, trying to put it all together, but in a way that feels fluid, you know? So I noticed a big difference with our first reconnect family, and we heard great feedback from them, and then they wanted to come back and they've stayed in contact, and that to me right there was just so worth it. It was so worth it. And you could see the change of the energy shift between the two of them. It was a father and son duo, and you know, I don't know, maybe you guys know the exact story, but I just know Dad had been, you know, first responder and kind of lost touch with the son, and at the beginning you could kind of feel the tension, and the tension was just like you know, he doesn't know, and you know, Dad was trying really hard, and then that was kind of pushing back, and then as the day progressed and they had to do things together, so starting out at the beginning we had them working on the ground together, having to do things together with one horse and figure it out together. And the frustration was not only frustrating each other, it was frustrating the horse. You know what I mean? And they're just like looking at me, and I'm like, I don't, what are you going to do? Of course I can go in there and do it, but what am I going to be giving you? Right. It's the same frustration like when you get frustrated with your dad, you know, and you just walk away. But what is that doing for you? It's not doing anything for you. So figure it out, you know.
Do you want to explain a little bit more on what you were specifically trying to get them to do?
Sure.
So you can explain why the horse was getting frustrated, why they were getting frustrated.
Yeah, sure. So at the beginning, I have them come. I show them how to put a halter is the piece of equipment that you put over the horse's face that you lead them with. So there's a lead line and there's a halter. So I showed them at the beginning, this is how you put a halter on a horse, right? They've never even seen it, probably let alone put one on. So then I said, okay, now you guys need to go in this horse's stall and put the halter on. And it looks simple because I just did it. You know what I mean? But then you have the horse turn around. You have the horse back up because you're walking. Most of the time, new people walk in with a sense of
rigidity.
That and hesitation. And a horse is like, why are you hesitating? What the hell's around me? Like, what do I have to be scared of?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so instead of me stepping in, and this is one of those things that I'm talking about it happening organically. I think any other trainer or any other therapist would have stepped in. I don't step in. They figured it out, and they came together to figure out like which, you know, the son was like, well, just walk up to him. And the dad's like, well, I don't know him. And he's like, well, you can get to know him by like going in front. So now they're like communicating, but really you could feel the tension from the beginning. So then the horse is just like overwhelmed with that tension between the two of them, let alone, you know, not being confident enough to approach the horse. So then they figured out how to put the halter on the horse, and then they had to argue about who would walk the horse out and how they were going to walk it and where they would walk it. And so then the horse is unknowing. The horse didn't know what to do or how to follow. And so it's just, we don't have a choice but for that to just react to what we're putting out there. Whereas a car or a tool or something that doesn't have a brain, you just get a automated response. And that's very easy to deal with. But it's not as easy when you have a horse stopping and you're trying to pull it, but it's because you guys are arguing, the horse doesn't walk, you know? So the first hour is just everything on the ground. So then they had to they were able to lead the horse through cones and figure out how to do that together, right? By walking on either side of them. So what they weren't noticing at the beginning was, you know, the dad's not putting enough energy and the son's putting too much energy. So the horse is like a wet noodle, like walking around, and he's like, I don't know why he's not moving. I was like, I have no idea. Figure it out, you know? And then by the end of it, they were able to actually take the halter off and the horse would lead that with them without any tool. And I was able to show them it has nothing to do with the tool, and it has everything to do with yourself and your own energy. Right? The tool is just that. It is just a tool. But you have to make the choice to change yourself. And you have to make the choice to get out of your own head and in the moment and in the spot. And not only are you dealing with your son or you're dealing with your dad, now you're dealing with this horse, but the horse is just a catalyst. You know what I mean? So it was really amazing to watch. And then once they got in the saddle, so the second portion was they got to ride. And when they got to ride, they each had their own horse, obviously. And, you know, son was a teenager, so he knows everything, you know. And he was like, Dad, don't do that. Dad. And I was like, listen. And I was like, you need to worry about your own stuff, and your dad will worry about his stuff. And the same goes for both of you. And they had to translate what they learned on the ground in the saddle. And what they learned is you can't bully a horse into doing something. And you can't just try to talk your way through with the other person and escape. If you don't help the other person figure it out, you're not going to accomplish the goal, right? And then what I was able to show them is the outside forces, right? So if somebody's in there and there was like somebody in there running and then running their horse, and then there's cows, and they were both getting a little bit frustrated because there was a lot of there's a lot of moving parts. And I'm like, this is a reflection of your relationship too. Right? Like if you have a friend over here that doesn't agree with your dad, or you're getting this input of something that doesn't push you to keep building your relationship with your dad. Same thing over here. Dad, you're busy with work. You're doing whatever. You still have to find that moment and still have to tap into that relationship and be present in that moment for your guys' relationship to stay current and stay authentic. Otherwise, it's just a passive, surface level relationship in anything that you do. You can keep walking your horse around past the cows and just be oblivious to it, or you can intentionally, you know, move around the cows. And then by the end of it, it was so cool. I was like, all right, now you guys have to hold hands on the horse and walk. And they were just like, it's not going to happen. And I was like, it's going to happen. And so they had to get their horses close enough to grab each other's hands and hold and go around. And they were so annoyed. The first like 3 times they were so annoyed. And then afterwards they had it down. They were even trotting in it. They were weaving the cones. And you know, and what I was able to show them was they were accomplished within themselves by the end of that. But I was like, it's not even just about you. You have 4 brains here. You guys just convinced, and I guarantee you guys were not worried about the horses right now. I guarantee it. You were worried about the task that I gave you to hold hands, right? And move around the arena. And what you did was subconsciously and authentically translate that through your body, through the saddle, to another being. And that's what happened. It wasn't just you reaching for your hand. That horse had to be okay sitting right next to another horse, dealing with the cows, dealing with the kids running, dealing with, like we talked about before, a horse can feel your heartbeat 3 football fields away. They feel all of that from anybody that's in the surrounding area. And you guys were able to accomplish that. And I just think that was a pivotal moment in that. You know what I mean?
That's what Chris brings up every time.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
I
so
love that.
when we started talking to him about it afterwards, because we wanted things to kind of settle first.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to overwhelm him with it, just because it is a pretty big ask, right? I mean, we're here trying to reconnect you with your son after 30 years of your career, and now you trying to figure out how to communicate properly with your kiddo.
Yeah.
So when I asked him, like, what was the biggest change, or when did you notice the biggest change? And he said it was that, what you were just talking about with the holding of the hands, because that was where they all had to be in sync. And if they weren't, one's going to fall, one's going to get kicked off, whatever. Hopefully none of that happens, but those are possibilities of what could occur. And he said after that, his son now comes to him versus mom, right? Where everything was like, I'm going to bypass dad, go straight to mom because she's the easier one to deal with. Now he's actually becoming the easier one to deal with, which is weird, because he was like, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to show you kind of mindset, right? And now it's not that way.
I love that. And I think it's funny to hear that from him at the beginning, what you said, because I'd be curious to ask his son what he would say. Because the thing about it is, to be blatantly honest, he was so in his head. Mm-hmm. Dad was totally in his head. When he came out of his head, was holding the hands because he had to focus on something else. He had to focus on his son first. Whereas the whole time leading up, he was trying to nurture his son. He was trying to prove himself to his son. He was really focused on that versus just being who he is. And then when that started, he had to drop that and pay attention to what he was doing in another way. And that's when it all kind of started to flow together. Mm-hmm. And I do want to work on having something where they come back, 2 months later and revisit things, because I would love for him to understand how that transpired. You know what I mean? And point that out to him. You do know the reason why that felt so pivotal in that moment was because you sank into yourself.
What I like about it is that the horse is the equalizer.
Yes, 100%.
I say it a million times, having a 1,200 to 1,600 pound horse, that can stomp the shit out of you, being this soft thing that's actually bringing you guys together is crazy.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy to, today we're having a big homeschool event there, and they're painting, kids are coming and painting the horses and doing and it's these horses love it. And it's just the weirdest thing. There's just kids running around everywhere and just paintbrushes everywhere. And it's and I wouldn't say that that's typical. I just think that that's built off of trust for me. My horses specifically trust me and know that every experience that they're going to have is going to be okay. But it's unbelievable to watch that. And people are just I don't know how it happened. It's just, they're my kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's amazing. I wouldn't say that with every horse, at all. But it's pretty amazing.
Did you get any feedback from Sally saying that working with the first responder world, was it any more difficult than working with regular trauma, or did she have any input on that?
Yeah, I think what her takeaway was that they are definitely more condensed, right? And condensed, I use that in the term, in the way of hard shells.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or hard shells. So it's very, and I'm a different breed. So I'm, the horse version, and the whole, I don't have formal training as far as therapy and that sort of thing is concerned. And then Sally's over here can talk about anything with anybody. So for her, I think that's very tricky. That's very hard, because she's used to people coming to her that want to talk or want to do those things. So she's well, I don't really know how they're feeling. They're not telling me what they're, and I'm well, ask. And she's just like, well, I just want them to naturally. I'm like, well, that is not who these people are. You know what I mean? But then again, that's why I feel like I was brought here. I feel like that's why I was led here too, because that stuff doesn't bother me. I grew up military family, like, you know, like you have to say what you're thinking. If you're mad, you just got to say it. And most of the time it's already been pent up for like 5 months. And then you're like, listen, you pissed me off for the last 5 months and now I'm just going to lose my, you know. So it's been a learning curve for her. And then she can bring, like, what she brought to the table was then it was like, started off with, well, these are the things that we can do now, that kind of a curriculum per se of what we could work on each thing. And then what we could tell the participants what they were working on afterwards scientifically, right? Because like, sometimes I'm like, oh, we're just weaving some cones. And I'm sure people are like, why are we like weaving these? But afterwards you could look back and say, oh, this was because you're learning, you know, how to manipulate without actually using your physical body. You're using your energy and you're using your drive and you're having to get out of your head, you know, so we could like work on those different things and talk about what those would actually be.
So essentially some of the more simplistic things have the biggest impacts.
I think so. And if it was extended, right? If we were to extend this for 2, 3, 4, I mean, this is it. In all honesty, people think this is like a therapy part, you know, like this is I see this every day in riding lessons, every single day. Like I feel like I do this all day. I feel like I therapize every single kid that comes that comes to the barn. To me, it is no different. And I think I said this last time, the only difference to me is that now people have worked hard to label it in the scientific industry, you know, and it's because now you can pay somebody, you know, insurance will pay for you to do equine therapy and a doctor can label it this, but it happens every single day. Like we're talking about kids that are non-verbal. Completely nonverbal, and within 4 or 5 months completely talking to their horse. Has nothing to do with me.
And I want to say there's a difference between what you guys are doing and just the typical like, hey, I'm going to come brush a horse and
totally.
and people are chalking that up as equine therapy, you know,
yes.
and they're getting paid to do it. And it's just like there's no real therapy involved with that.
Because I feel like they're a lot more intentional in the acts.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. We are really working hard to come up with, I know we talked a little bit about this last time, but there's no real step ladder system in this industry that I've found. You know, there's big programs that you can go and purchase, like PATH certification, things that are like similar to like an OSHA, or, you know, different curriculums that you can buy per se, or things that you can be certified in that would make you something. But I want something more loose leaf that any program could use. Like in the Western world, a beginner rider and beginner mentality would be this. Yeah. Then you would graduate to an intermediate and you'd be this. But it's not just riding, not just your leg or how you can turn a horse. It's also, can you, keep control of your horse when the things that are also energetic. Because that's what really makes a horse person. That's really what makes a horseman or a horse, any of those things. So that is what other people, I don't think, focus on, nor do they care about. I shouldn't say that. We care a lot about the emotional well-being of the person as well. If I see somebody that's uncomfortable, there could be somebody that wants to just come. For instance, we had a lady yesterday. She was riding her whole life. She hasn't ridden in the last 10 years. She just wants to come and ride. She just wants to ride. She doesn't want to be bothered. She doesn't want to talk about stuff. Cool. I will totally find you a horse for that. I know she'll end up sinking into the community somehow, because that's always what happens. But I get that. Then you have somebody that is an adult that's probably, I get a lot of CEOs really, this kind of gives them that dopamine high they're looking for, because it's much different. But then they don't understand really what they're going to be doing is working on themselves. Mm-hmm. The whole time is me unlayering the anxiety and the control issues and the, that's why you feel high when you're on that horse. Like, so you've got to, unlayer all of those things. And I think that's what we are different in doing. I can notice that. If somebody is struggling with just brushing the horse because they need something tactile or they're feeling something weird with their fingers, I can notice that. And we can work on that. If I notice somebody that's struggling with their own self-confidence, we're going to work on that. It's not just about you need to trot today because that's what's on the curriculum and that's what you said you wanted to work on. Well, you're paying me to be the professional, and I'm going to tell you what I think you need to work on. Because if you're coming in every day with a heavy heart and, you know, a negative mind frame, even though you walk away feeling better if you just jump on the horse and ride, it's not good for my horses, and it's not good for your mental stability either. And my horses are my family. They are first and primary before anything. And the reason why my horses are the way they are is because I protect them like that. You know what I mean?
That's really good.
So, yeah.
No, it's important to keep the tools running properly. And I know they're living beings, but I'm just saying you're essentially, you know, you're the tool master, and that's all your work.
100%. So. And like it's a rough industry. It's a rough industry. It's like anything else, but, you know, somebody posted the other day, there was a Belgian, I'm known in the, you know, I love Belgian draft horses. So whenever one comes up for rescue, everyone's tagging me. So somebody tagged me, and this horse, like something was really wrong with it. Like I'm pretty sure it was neurological. And so I was like, well, go ahead and PM me and like we'll talk about it or whatever. And then somebody...
Did you say PM me?
That's what I heard.
PM me.
I was like, that how you pick your horses?
Oh my God. Private message, y'all.
I heard the same thing, bro. I was like,
Oh my God.
That's a totally different subject.
Freaking A. So anyway... Then underneath, somebody that has like, probably a fake account. It's like a fake name and like fake pictures wrote, oh, why? So this horse can come out looking like her horse, and had a picture of Dolly from like a weird angle that they had zoomed in on, and they like circled a part of her hind end and were like, you know, her horses look gross or something, and had like her hind end like, and I was like, and I can't tell you, I think it's just because I really have been spoiled because I've worked so hard to keep my reputation, or not my reputation, because I could really care less about that, but like the way I'm, you know, seen or what I've worked for or whatever, I haven't really had that happen much. And I just like I lost my shit, and I didn't want to be like that, but I was like, so then I went on and I posted like 30 different pictures of Dolly, and I found myself diving into the same crap that I coach people on not to do. But it was like my mama bear came out so hardcore, and I was just like, well, actually, she was rescued and she has muscle atrophy in her hind end and she'll never. And like the person was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But I was just, I couldn't believe, you know, people are just mean.
you got somebody online to admit they were wrong? That's incredible.
I was like, I'm all about like, here's the scientific part behind it too. And I was like, why would you be on a post rescuing a horse, and you don't even know where my horse was literally dead, like dead. So like what you're doing here is literally counteracting what you're doing here. It's so silly. That's just the stupidest thing.
Trolls are the shit.
And it was so stupid for me to even clap back. Like, that's so dumb. Like afterwards I was like, why did I care? Like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, always working on yourself too, you know? Like it's always a...
I know somebody that can help you.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Like, I'll pass Jena's number to you later.
Yeah, exactly.
So we also worked on the spouses
Yes.
program. How'd that go?
I think the spouse program has gone awesome. Still trying to figure a little bit out on, I think women in our old, like, women are just, we're all set in our ways and we all are who we are. And it's just finding the meshing between the two. And the horses have been such a great mesh. But women are so, when we're adults, everybody's so set in their ways. So figuring out where everybody fits and what makes everybody happy. And I think it was just a couple weeks ago, we did some riding and I had them lead each other around, and that was awesome. That was so awesome because they were like, you know, finally kind of letting go of all of the expectations and all the things. Like, we just hold so much as women. And they're just like, you know, everything's just surface level. And when I feel like that just makes me, bleh, I can't. Like, I don't want to be like at a big round table with a bunch of people that are just, everybody's just trying to figure out where everybody belongs. And you just have that top layer there. So I was just trying to unmask that. And about 30 minutes into them riding, it was finally like, okay, we're relaxing. People are hanging out. Yeah. People were talking about things. And so that's been really cool to see them form friendships, I think. And then also they just kind of all figure out now how to do it. Like, okay, we're going to go put the horses back. Okay, we're going to groom the horses back. And I just think that that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of like an identity crisis with that too, right? So you have spouses of first responders. You know, some of the identity crisis could be, I'm usually the one that's handling the household. So now I have to be able to put myself first. You know, some people are like, I'm only known as this person's spouse. So who the hell am I? You know? And then you have like the beat down spouse, not physically, but just emotionally. Yeah. Like, I've taken all this trauma on. Like, I don't even know where the fuck to start, right? So you have a whole mishmash of stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think within each other, like spouse to spouse, the females, I think it's, there's a lot of trust issues in that, like, because I think you're either one way or the other. In some of these spouse groups that I see online, they are there and they're angry and they're letting it all out. My husband did this and I'm sick of this and this. Toxic. And then there's the other who's like, we're perfect and my husband has no problems at all. And so it's finding that balance to be able to share that, hey, we actually are experiencing the same things at home because they're a lot alike. Yeah. And we, you know, that we can like rely on each other, talk to each other, that it's a safe place to talk about how awful some of those moments are.
Yes. Yeah. And I think what I was noticing in there was that they are so, they have a control mindset, which most adult women do. And like, I just want to deconstruct that completely. Mm-hmm. So like they were coming there like wanting this rigid. And here I am, I'm like, okay, I'm going to feel it all out. I'm just a feeler. Like, I'm like, I could just hippy dippy with the wind, whatever. And so they're just like, well, what are we doing now? And I'm like, I don't know. What are we going to do now? And that just, I could tell that ruffled some feathers, and it still does, because I can see like when people are all pent up and they don't want to talk, I'm like, well, we're going to sit here and hang out for a little bit. Like, the whole point is us for having community. Right. This isn't like you come and just ride a horse for a lesson. Right. I don't want that. Yeah. I don't want that at all. This is, we're in a group so we can build a community and support each other, not to just come here and ride horses. It's not going to do anything for us. You know what I mean? Good for you. And like so, that. So the second week they got, or the second meeting, I think they got that. Like, I was like, there is no from 5 to 5:30, we're tacking from 5:30 to 6:30, we're going to do this. I'm like, I don't want that. You know what I mean? And we can feel it out. But if everybody, you know, then one woman would be like, well, shouldn't we be brushing them right now? Well, should I put this here? Stop thinking. This is literally the one time that you don't have to think, and the one time that you can just be you. So start working on sinking in that. You know, and the first time, like, some of the women were like, well, yeah, I kind of wish there was like a little bit more riding, or I wish there was more. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Number one, like, once again, you're overthinking everything. The point is this is going to be a long-term support group, a long-term friendship. Stop thinking about what was missing and think about what you could work on. Because 2 hours to yourself is a great period of time, even if you're twiddling your fucking thumbs, right? You are somewhere where you're being supported. You're somewhere with women that have and understand you. You're somewhere, you don't need to be, you know, posting a trot for 3 laps because you were so excited to ride. Like, that isn't the goal here. The goal is to have a new place to step out of your comfort zone and fall into who you want to be, or who you were that you want to reach again. Yeah. So like, don't have so many walls around you.
Mm-hmm. And I think over time they get very conditioned because it's a very gradual behaviors that they're learning, then they're seeing, they're responding to. So I think a lot of them have those routines and that all of that they have to maintain so that everything doesn't fall apart.
100%.
Because everything around them, as soon as he gets home, right, it's a lot of tension sometimes, and it's like we want to make sure all the things are done right so you don't add more to his plate and you don't make it worse. You don't any of that. So
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I haven't really seen it that way before. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's that part of that identity crisis I was talking about. It's like you don't know what to do with yourself.
Right.
You know,
yeah, and that's kind of
trying to find it.
Yeah, we've been trying to. That's like part of getting to know each other too. Is like what is and it takes a while. Like I told them, I'm like, it could take us up to like 6 months to really. We're only with each other for 2 hours, and there's between 5 or 7 of us, and I'm like, it's gonna take a while to get to know each other and know what you like, what I can already kind of tell like who's more controlling, who's just kind of go with the flow, who's bossy, who's you know what I mean, and you can kind of tell those things and where they fit in. But like it takes a while to build up trust, So
For sure.
Yeah.
What are some new things that you're working on right now?
A lot of things. So right now we're working a lot on excursions, trail rides, doing cool new stuff out and about, seeing different places of Arizona horseback. So just trying to get people out there, show them nature, show them places that they didn't know. So we just did we teamed up with the Queen Creek Olive Mill, and we did a big ride where we rode the horses to the Olive Mill. We did a hat bar and a custom tour and catered lunch, and then rode back, and we had about 24 women and 24 horses. Wow. It's a pretty cool experience. Yeah, I think they didn't really know what they signed up for. They were like, yeah. Olive Mill was like, we're so excited to have you guys. And I was like, okay. So we rode out there a few days before to kind of like scout everything out. And I was like, well, there's not like a big enough hitching post. They have like a little hitching post and a little thing. And I was like, and she's like, well, how many horses is that? I'm like, that's probably for like 3, maybe 4. And they're like, okay, we're going to try to figure it out, like to have more. And I was like, all right. So the day before I was like, did you get more hitching posts? And she was like, well, we'll just move like these bike rack things back there and it should be plenty. We show up there and I'm like, there is no way in hell all of these horses are going to get tied up. So we literally have them all tied to all the olive trees all the way down, right? And there's a train that goes right by there, right? So that was my biggest thing when we were riding is we had to ride along the train track for a solid maybe half mile. And I was just like watching those lights because supposedly there's supposed to be like a yellow light that warns you when it's like 10 minutes out. And so I was like, okay, nothing came on. I'm not joking you. We tie up all the horses. 5 minutes later, the train goes by. And I mean, it's like, I don't know, maybe 80
only a
feet.
couple 100 feet.
Literally. And I was like, okay, here it goes. Everyone's like, what do you think? I'm like, I think it's going to be fine. I just think it's going to be fine. I was putting it in the universe. And luckily the train was heading this way and my horses were first, right? And then I had like the horses I rented and all my friends' horses were all this way. So as it came, my horses hit it first. And then all the other horses were looking at my horses. And then my horses set the tone. Not one horse panicked. And I was like, that was such a mom proud moment. Like literally the proudest moment. And everybody that was there, I mean, it was like famous, like everybody from the Olive Mill was coming to look, but it was pretty awesome. It was awesome. Yeah. So just trying to do a lot more of those, get our name out, photo shoots, stuff like that. So we've been doing a lot.
Give yourself a plug. I mean, this is your opportunity.
Yeah. Just check us out on ToscanoFarms.com. We're doing a lot of rides right now. We have a big camping trip coming up, which we're excited. We're going to take the horses up to Prescott.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, we're going to do that. That's going to be awesome. If you haven't rode in Prescott before or ridden at all, that's the best place to do it. It's like you're in a different state. It feels like in the pines, you're just riding around in the pines, and it's actually like cool stuff where we do jumping and crazy bushwhacking. It's not like your typical nose to tail ride. So we're really stoked about that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming back out.
Yeah,
giving us the
thanks
update.
so much
We're
for
going to
having
have
me.
you again.
Yeah.
As we keep working through the process.
Yes.
And we'll figure out more cool stuff to do.
Awesome. And I think we're going to try to get a fundraiser together soon too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get that together. I think that'd be great.
So the other thing is in May, we're doing a 24-hour radio show. You're gonna have to come out.
Boom.
In this room.
In this room. Yeah, so we're going to do it for 24 hours.
24 hours?
Cool. 24
Cool.
So if you have cool guests, if you know anybody that wants to come out, maybe sponsor the show.
I was going to say maybe we could do one of the participants, either the parent, or a wife or someone that's been
cool.
a part of it might want to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
okay, cool.
What
does a sponsorship do? Tell me a little bit about that.
So depending on
different people
depending on the level of sponsorship, obviously get so many plugs throughout the radio show. We're going to be giving out prizes. They can be a guest on the show, promote their business, whatever they want to do. If you know people that want to bring food or whatever, I mean, it's literally just plug after plug after plug. So
okay, cool.
Be a good
we
time.
should do that for us too. The sponsorship stuff that we talked about. We talked about that. I got to put that together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming out.
Yeah.
All right.